So now let's look at transitioning over here, because this is an important thing. Again, we're talking about money driving into your pocket. This is the record, or not record, the rating schedule change that it was proposed by the VA. There's one that just already happened, and that was digestive systems. That has changed as of May 19th. That one's done. There's another one that is out there still floating around, and the VA has an effective date in June of 2024. Now, do I think it's going to happen in June? Probably not, because the VA did notify us 2 months prior to the effective date for the digestive system rating change. So just if we can hope that they're going to do that with this, then it'll give us time to get ready. One of my favorite things in this rating change is the change to the mental health rating schedule, and it is a positive change. I want to read through here the press release from the VA when they proposed these changes. I'm going to throw on a guess here that you guys did not see this, because this is from 2 years ago, and I'm going to read it to you, and I want to get your thoughts on it. It was as we go through it, especially as we a slightly deeper dive into the mental health one. So I'm going to just read through it here. So bear with me for a moment. It's to share the info, right? So VA proposes updates to disability rating schedules for respiratory, auditory, and mental disorder systems. That's 3, by the way. And oh yes, they're changing them all. They've changed most of them already, and they're trickling in still. In this news release, the VA proposed changes to the VA schedule for rating disabilities, specifically pertaining to those 3 body systems: the respiratory, auditory, and mental disorders. The change would incorporate medical advancements for treatment, certain disabilities, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they're just giving the rationale on why they're changing it, right? So it says here that they put all the information in the Federal Register, which they did, and the public had time to put their comments in. But here's the funny thing: nobody reads these, so nobody knows to go to the Federal Register to actually put their comments in. And here's the weird thing about that. This is what I view the VSOs, like your American Legion, your VFWs, all that stuff, right? They are paying attention and they're putting their comments in, right? So at least there's somebody paying attention, and at least my dues are going to that, right? Somebody on the Hill watching that stuff. So here we go into the meat of this. It says some of the proposed changes include modernizing the evaluation criteria for sleep apnea by evaluating it based on symptoms responsiveness to treatment. If symptoms are fully treated by a CPAP machine or other treatment, a veteran would be rated at 0% and not receive compensation. I'm going to stop right there, because currently, if you are rated for sleep apnea and you've been given a CPAP machine, you get a 50% rating. Regardless of how your treatment's going with it, you're 50%. You get issued a CPAP, you're 50% for sleep apnea. Well, this rating change says, well, if your symptoms responsiveness to treatment is good, well, if you're fully treated with a CPAP, we're giving you a 0%. That is a gigantic swing. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I'd love to. I don't even know if you guys knew that was happening, but that's happening. We just don't know when it's going to take effect. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Randy.
Stuff drives me crazy. I understand why they do it. They drop a presser, 2 years ago with this information in, and they're doing this all the time. These pressers come out all the time. Info goes into the Federal Register. You can make your public comments. I mean, how many people watching this channel are, parsing through the Federal Register and dropping comments and giving feedback? I mean, it's just not something that most people do, but these are really impactful changes. And then, 2-3 years later, lo and behold, they say, you have, sleep apnea. CPAP seems to be working correctly, whatever that means. We're gonna just change this down to 0. And it seems to me, it seems like a very, even though it has the feel of being a transparent process, it doesn't feel very transparent. How do you get to 0? I mean, what's the science behind that? Sleep apnea sucks. I mean, it is a condition, even with a CPAP, a device hooked to your head all night long. I mean,
Come on.
that is going to affect your life 8 hours a day, 1/3 of your life, assuming you sleep 8 hours a day. Most people with sleep apnea don't sleep that long. I mean, this is going to affect you forever. So magically, we've gone from what, in my personal opinion, seems like a fairly reasonable rating, 50%, given the magnitude of the issue, to poof, we're at 0. Well, we threw it on the Federal Register. You had an opportunity to comment. I mean, how the heck did we get there? And what does, appropriately, I forget the word you used, appropriately treated or adequately managed by CPAP really mean? I mean, you still have sleep apnea. So this stuff, I'm getting fired up. This stuff drives me absolutely bonkers. I'm going to shut up. Chris, over to you.
Let's go get some pitchforks. Yeah,
Yes.
This is bullshit. So, and again, many times you could understand some level of rationale, but as more information comes out, as things progress, I mean, now they're even saying that CPAP machines have all kinds of flaws and issues, and you're getting microplastics, and they're bad for it, And so now we're going to claim that we got the microplastics from the CPAPs that were prescribed from the VA, and now our 50% comes. So I get it conceptually. I just think that the way they handle it and the process of it, this all just seems political. It's almost like they wanted to give other benefits, and something had to come off the table. And because sleep apnea conceptually could be one that's probably a little bit more difficult to designate truly if it happened as a result of something that happened on active duty or not. That seemed like a good one. And so we're gonna hide it on the Federal Register, and then we're gonna come back and say, see, everybody's good with it. And so it just seems like politics is getting in the mix of taking care of veterans, and then it's always hard to take away things that you already gave, but to go from 50 to 0, I mean, isn't there a better transition from walking people back, or finding them other options and means to take care of themselves, right? So
Totally.
Yeah, gut punch.
And not to throw salt in this, but what's really funny, not really, is in January the VA said, insomnia as a secondary condition no longer exists. If it has to be a direct insomnia by itself. So you can't say, my back is all jacked up, I can't sleep, so I have insomnia because of my back anymore. It has to be a standalone by itself thing in order to get rated. So with that disappearing, you can't even say, okay, fine, I'm 0 for sleep apnea because I'm fully treated with my CPAP, but I sleep horribly. So I have insomnia because it takes me 5 hours to fall asleep with this thing on my face. You can't do it because they'll say that it's part of your whole sleep apnea thing. So it'll just all wrap back into that 0. Horrible. So the next one here.
Look, we know there is fraud in any system, and maybe they targeted this because maybe there's data, maybe there's something behind this that they're just not saying. But still, taking it away from the people who actually need it and earned it to solve for whatever percentage fraud there might be in the system, or whatever political gerrymandering had to go on. That's what it feels like. Don't know, but that's what it feels like, right?
Right. Well, and look, the VA's budget has went up tremendously, and who knows if they're trying to, reel it in or whatever, who knows. But their rationale in the actual press release is, and this is what they always use, This will bring the rating criteria for sleep apnea more closely in line with the stated purpose of the rating schedule, which is to provide evaluations based upon average impairment of earning capacity. So all of our ratings are designed to go, okay, well, this is going to disable you that much, and it's going to lower down this much over your course of life of how much money you would earn. And what I tell people is it's not today. It's not necessarily today, how much money you earn today. It could be that, but it could also mean your longevity, how long you remain in the workforce. Maybe your service-connected disabilities limit your longevity in the workforce. And so they're compensating you in that way too. Pay down on a monthly basis, of course. So it's just so hard to put a price tag. The way that they do it on the average impairment of earning capacity based on your ailments is just a weird way to do it. I get why they're trying to do it that way, to have some sort of a scalable, understandable way of doing this. But it's really weird. So here's the next two. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. And then I think we're jumping into the mental health. So here's the next two. For respiratory conditions such as asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, the proposed rule would slightly lower the requirements for the 100% rating. That's all they say. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. You're making it a little bit easier to get to the 100% for COPD. Awesome. The next one is irritating. Tinnitus. And I have to sneeze, so bear with me. Yeehaw. All right, welcome to the spring. So for tinnitus, which, by the way, is the most common rated ailment, right? Tinnitus. The proposed change would recognize, I have to sneeze again. Yes, yeah. All right. So I saw that comment, Chris, and I know that Randy will find my sneeze spots. So we'll start over. So for the next one here, tinnitus. Tinnitus is the most rated condition, and the proposed change would recognize that symptom within the veteran's broader ailment and provide service-connected compensation for tinnitus through the disease in which it is attributed. What they're saying is you can't just say tinnitus. It's not its own thing anymore. It has to be connected to something else, your tinnitus. Your tinnitus has to be a symptom of another disease. What is that? Okay, so it could be Meniere's disease, for example, but what if you don't have Meniere's disease? You know, I don't know how they test this stuff. So just throwing that out there. Love to get your quick thoughts. I know you got to run soon, Chris, and I know we're wrapping up. So any thoughts on that before I jump over to mental health for 3 minutes?
How in the hell are they going to be able to say that it is tied to another condition? I'm with you.
My guess is that they're going to say that it's not, and then be like, "Sorry, you're not. You don't get rated."
No, I mean, yeah, I get that's where they're going with it, but I don't understand how that whole thing is going to play out. I mean, tinnitus is real. A lot of people are slightly skeptical of it, but constant ringing in your ears is enough to drive a person absolutely up the wall. Spend, a couple thousand hours in a military aircraft, and there's a chance, a pretty good chance, you're going to have some ringing in your ears that's going to drive you crazy, even when you're wearing dual hearing protection. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It just, this funny math and weaving conditions together when in fact ringing in your ears is a thing, drives me nuts.
Especially for combat arms people, right? That sitting in tanks, sitting in aircraft, and this is guys. I'm just gonna go take a baseball bat and go beat up an old car or something. Like this is now Randy's getting fired up. It's getting me fired up. But
yeah.
I don't get fired up that often. I'm pretty mellow. And so when I get fired up, you guys know,
I'm getting fired up by extension.
It's coming through the screen, man.
All right, let me run through this.
Look at this.
It's beautiful. Let me run through this mental health here real quick because this is awesome. The proposed rules for mental health conditions would increase the minimum rating from 0 to 10. So there's no longer a 0, you're automatic at a 10. The rule would get rid of the dated part of the rating schedule that prevents a veteran from getting 100% rating for mental health condition if they are able to work. So currently, if you're working and you're able to work, you don't have a complete social and economic impairment, right? Because you're working. So you don't meet that qualifier. So they're talking about getting rid of that qualifier, meaning that you can still work and be rated 100% in the mental health realm. That is huge. That means people that are rated at 70 should be able to slide up to 100, most likely, in my opinion. So what they're going to do here is they're getting rid of the entire schedule. And it says here that the VA plans to use new evaluation criteria to more accurately capture the different domains of impairment caused by mental disabilities and provide more adequate compensation for financial losses experienced by veterans. So here's what they're going to do. They're going to basically create 5 domains of impairment, and they are cognition, interpersonal interactions and relationships, task completion, life activities, and navigating environments, and then self-care. So those are the 5 domains that they're looking at. And basically, if you rate highly, I guess, impacted in that specific domain, if you rate really high in one domain, you could potentially be 100%. You don't have to be in all of them. You could be very low in 3 of the domains and high in 2, and you'll be rated 100%. So it's a much better way of looking at mental health because not everybody's affected exactly the same, and some people can muster up enough to be able to still go do stuff and like a job, right? Because I don't want to be homeless, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to have to deal with it later. So what are you guys' thoughts? And we'll wrap it up. Chris, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I mean, call me skeptical, and I'm usually not the person that is conspiracy related. Seems like a budget shift. Like it seems like they're making some things harder so they can shift money to other things that and do it the way it should have been done in the first place. In the end, I don't know. These things, hopefully, these pieces will fall to where the veterans who need the help are getting the help that they need, and they don't have to run through a whole bunch of hoops to get it, or continually get rejected until they finally get the disability ratings and the benefits that they deserve. But maybe in the long run, all of this ends up in the right place. But it just seems like a complete shift of where they want to spend the money. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, this is a definitely maybe from me. I'm with Chris. I'm a little bit skeptical. Here's what I like. I like that the floor went from 0 to 10. I think that's a positive. Anytime a federal agency like the VA uses the word domain, I get a little bit, squirrely in my seat. For me, I'd like to see how they roll this out. And, truly, if the intent is to get their hands around mental health and better rate it, better assess it, better assist the veteran community, I'm for it, because that is where collectively as a community, so many of our problems lie. So Randy's a definitely maybe on this one. We'll see. I'm a skeptic too.
Yeah, and I'll wrap it up here with
a hard maybe on that. Yeah, I love that.
Right. Yeah. A definite hard maybe, most likely. So, look, at the end of the day, we are going to just be subject to whatever the magic wand does, and we have to adapt and deal with it. We're going to keep you up to date with everything going on. We really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.